You are listening to the audiobook Veilshatter, Legends of Elyndar, now available on Amazon, Audible, and wherever books are sold, featuring our three unforgettable heroes. An epic adventure begins.
Andersmacht's Diminishing. There was no thunder as the last echoes of the rift song faded, only the hush of aftermath, a weighty pause in which even the air held its breath, uncertain of its new form. The labyrinth of lost memory, once writhing with anguish, unraveled before Liora's battered senses, every corridor dissolving into threads of silver mist and vanishing points. What remained in the world's weave was strangely raw, sensation stripped to nerve and sinew, the hum of the ground beneath her boots infinitely more resonant, every heartbeat a resounding pulse through the veins of the land. Liora knelt amidst the crumbled remnants of runes and memory shards. Where the memory key had groaned, the stones were still faintly warm, etched with a light that pulsed out a rhythm both familiar and irretrievably changed. The presence of Talon's echo ebbed at the edge of consciousness, gentle as duskfall, not a voice, not a word, but a blessing scored deep into her marrow. The rift no longer howled. Its song crooned now, quiet as a lullaby, hummed by a tired child, yet its power pressed on every nerve, reminding her of the price. The runes on her arms glowed, faint and unsteady, dying embers after an all-consuming blaze. Blood crusted along each line, painted in patterns stitched by sacrifice. And in the hush, the shadowed lord lingered. The Veilborn had not departed, nor was it triumphant. Its shape writhed, diminished, regal bearing lessened but not dissolved. It hovered above the scattered fragments of abandoned mirrors, its thousand eyes shuddered, receding until only two remained. Twin wounds in the darkness, watching Liora with an awareness stripped raw, not of supremacy, but of kinship found in loss. Every pulse of its being vibrated with hollow ache, a hunger not for feasting but for reprieve, starved by the new music she had forced upon the world. So we are remade together, Liora thought, the certainty both honest and damning. Her soul, too, was battered, stretched thin by the spell's demands. She reached within to pull on reserves of soul-weaving, and found only ash, a hollow aching where once her spirit had brimmed. In accepting loss and weaving it into the pact, she had cleaved away not only the rift's ancient pain, but fragments of herself. Small joys, weeping sorrows, slivers of laughter now faint as the dying echo at sunset. Beside her, Varen pressed upright, teeth gritted in silent defiance. His weatherbinder's ring flickered, each pulse a languid tide drawn back by exhaustion. Ariel rose shakily, hands crusted with moonwater residue, her gaze not upon miracles, but scanning for what of reality had changed. Even the air trembled with the sensation of old bonds reformed, the weave, thin and uncertain as a child's first step. Liora's head hung as the spell's aftershock traveled down her frame. She tried to recall Talon's face as it had been, crisp, blithe, always a little too sharp, but found instead a faded warmth, a memory washed in watercolor. There was grief that would never be remade. She had chosen to preserve absence, to remember the cost, and the price was paid in the dull ache of lost comfort. The Veilborn shifted, its form drawn thin, where it had wrapped itself about the rift, gathering memory to feed the void at its core. Now it slithered back, compelled by a new law it could not deny. Its voice, once thunder, now quaked like hollow branches snapped beneath snow. Wound-bearer, you have laced the wound with song. I hunger, yet hunger will not sate. You are changed, and so am I. Shall you bind me again, O daughter of memory? Its question slithered into Liora's bones. Binding was the oldest lesson of her art, the way the runes sent it curdled pain into law, the covenant that punished sorcerers who trespassed past grief's edge. This was different. No fetter, but a seal that transformed both captive and jailer, the old order ceding to something bittersweet and tender-edged. She struggled to lift her gaze. The cost is right. I will not cage you, she thought, nor will I let the world forget. Out loud, her voice more shadow than sound, Liora answered, You are not destroyed, nor am I whole. Let the rift's new law bind us both. Feed not on what is gone, but accompany us in memory. Endure beside us, not as shadow's tyrant, but as wound that heals with time, not hunger. A breathless wind swept the ruined chamber. The Veilborn's form pulsed. Runes she had laced into the air, braiding around its lingering presence, the spell holding not through command but through enduring resonance. The echoes of other souls flickered along the edges, faces half revealed, voices uttering names in dozens of tongues. One by one, memories long devoured struggled free. A mithril-limbed merchant from Tokrith, smiling as his daughter tugged his hand. An artisan casting the first bridge across Avestra's divide. Veyron's own lost brother, mouth open with a half-formed laugh. And Talon, no, only the echo of his sly wink. Then gone, the thread rewoven rather than restored. Open the way, Veilborn, Liora said. Let the lost remember their names as echoes, not as wounds. Tears blurred her vision, scouring tracks into the blood crusted on her face. In the air, a single note vibrated, older than any spoken incantation. The formless king's silhouette seemed to gather itself, shrinking bit by bit, less like an enemy held at bay, more like a wound healing from the inside out, grief softening into remembrance. Its edges grew indistinct, all-consuming eyes closing one by one until only the faintest shadow trembled at the heart of the rift. Its hunger, denied its feast, dulled and reshaped, the storm that once devoured now ebbing as lingering rain, nourishing what roots might survive. The labyrinth's walls shuddered, shedding glassy fragments. In the release, some souls that had been bound flickered, shades without bodies stepping forward, uncertain, as if waking from too long sleep. They were less than alive, more than lost, a tapestry half mended into this new dawn. Liora watched as a mother knelt to gather her child's specter in her arms, as a scholar brushed dust from her sleeve and raised her translucent hand to the wind, as lovers clasped and parted, finding solace in memory rather than return. Veyron wept silently, knuckling away tears with fingers trembling from more than fatigue. Ariel dabbed moonwater beneath Leora's nose, gently binding a scraped wound no magic could touch. The air stilled. Grief and hope warred with exhaustion, yet neither claimed victory. The rift's heart diminished, its music folding inward. The Veilborn's voice, barely more than a sigh, slipped through. You have made me less, and yet more than I was. May this binding hold until hope outlives loss. A shudder rocked Liora, her core hollowed, her well of magic dry. Every soul weaver learned what it meant to give away a portion of the self. But this, she knew there would be dreams she'd never recall, a laughter she could sense only in the faintest echo, a shadow upon her heart where once joy had dwelled full and bright. She embraced the emptiness. The whole was not an absence, but a sign. She had chosen and transformed. The world beyond the rift heaved. Every tree and distant lilac wood seemed to sigh, wind rippling down the ancient forest's tongue. Far off Avestra's runes flickered as if startled from sleep, while windrest spires, high in Uthira, caught the new light with a wedding of joy and sorrow. Across Maroon's lakes, stones clicked like the teeth of living cairns, their ancestral spirits murmuring approval or warning. Still, there was peace. Change, not oblivion, echoed through every breath. Talon's echo brushed her thoughts, a fleeting warmth, a corner of the mouth smile. She caught its remnants, kissing them softly goodbye, allowing them to become the warp and weft of her new self. Grief dulled to gratitude. The wound, though unhealed, would close one day, marked not by hunger, but by the fragile, stubborn work of living on. The first rays of sun, pale and cautious, slipped through where the rift had mended its own scar. Dew glistened on Ariel's cheeks. Veyron stood tall, wavering, a single streak of lightning white left in his hair, a living testament to ordeal and rebirth. Liora took a slow, cleansing breath. The cost was paid. Its mark would remain long after the ache faded, a stripe of silence in her soul. The place where sacrifice made space for wisdom and love abided as a scar, not a wound. "We endure," she murmured. Ariel squeezed her shoulder, eyes huge and luminous, making quiet proofs of their friendship with touch alone. Veyron rested a hand on Liora's back, grounding her. His silence, the tenderest benediction she'd ever received. They stepped forward together, the floor of memory dissolving into the pale certainty of dawn-lit stone. Behind them, the rift's seal flared once, casting shadows long and regal across their paths. The Veilborn's whisper faded with the light. "Bear it, remember." Above, a Virelian songbird darted from a ruin, trilling a single sweet phrase, the notes bending as if catching the melody of the remade world. The land itself seemed to exhale, a hush of acceptance rippling through grass and stone, the ancient wounds of Maruin grown a little less wide. Each footfall away from the rift felt momentous, stitched with the cost of what they delivered and the stark beauty of all that remained. Hope and darkness moved in the same current now, no longer adversaries, but currents in the same singing river. Liora's vision swam, not fully from exhaustion, but from a strangeness within. Certain thoughts no longer sharp, names on the tip of her tongue slipping sideways. She grieved quietly for those pieces, but honored them too, for the part they played in winning a peace not drowned in forgetting. Perhaps it was this she had always sought: purpose, belonging, and the permission to let go without annihilation. They emerged into the world transfigured, carrying their wounds like banners, unknowable to all who had not stood in the rift's heart. The rift itself, dormant and sealed, would endure as warning and as promise. Its hush settled over Miruna like a benediction. The wind shifted, gathering up their burdens, scattering their names among the roots and rivers of the earth. Above all, the dawn's new light arced over the horizon, a world unbeholden to the rift's hunger, remade by sacrifice into something at once older and younger, ancient scars given voice enough to sing. Liora looked to her friends, felt the echo of Talon knitting itself into her marrow, and took her first trembling step toward a future of unknown shape. The way forward was shadowed and bright all at once, the wound and the healing inseparable. The world waited, the cost borne, and the hush before creation's next song pressed close, alive with both promise and warning.